Hi, Danielle.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent. I wasn't sure if it was going to work. Just turn you up. There we go.
How are you?
Yeah, not too. Just humiliated.
I've only used this once before, so because I'm having some problems with my Skype. Every time I try and record something on Skype, it never works.
Yeah, funny.
Yeah, I know. It's funny, isn't it, really?
Have you had any of the black helicopter stuff?
I'm quite near Peasmore. I get a lot of chunks, and they all seem to want to fly over my flat for some reason.
Funny, isn't it? Yeah, I keep getting the same thing. I live directly next door to a police station. Did you see the video I posted the other day? They were just hovering directly above me, and as soon as I start filming them, they kind of slope off.
Yeah, it is unusual, but not for me anyway.
I don't think it's unusual for any of us anymore, to be honest.
I don't know how we want to start this. If we did, like, for anybody who doesn't know you, who's come to my channel and doesn't know what you're about, maybe do like a little bit of 5-10 minute about what you do, how you got into it, maybe a bit on your background.
Yeah.
We'll just talk about that, and then we'll lead on to some questions. I've been watching some of your videos, and I've got a few questions about a few things. There's nothing too
it
bad.
Always worries me when people say, I've been watching some of your videos.
There's nothing too bad. It's just about stuff about the law of attraction. Because I've been looking into it, and I bought a book that you recommended on one of your videos. I think I can't remember what it's called now.
Not the secret. The magic.
No, it's about a guy, Doctor something. I can't remember now.
Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Yeah, I've been reading that. I started reading it, but then I stopped in the last week or so. I started reading it again.
Yeah.
Power
of Intention.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Good book.
Yeah. So we start with like your background maybe, and so like where were you born, for example, and if you want to talk anything about your family or how that's related to how you got to where you are today.
Right.
Just sort of just talk about yourself really for a bit, about what you're about really.
Okay. Right. Are we good to go?
Yeah, it's all recording. Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if you mess up or anything. I can edit out any mistakes or any swear words.
But I will be very careful with the language.
Okay.
Well, I guess for anybody that doesn't know me or what I do, or how I started out in, I suppose, maybe what people would call the truth movement, is my background is actually researching serial killers, and I'd spent years just fascinated by them. Really, was kind of where it all really began. Was just a fascination. My granddad was on the jury. I believe my granddad was on the jury at one of the Cray twins trials, and I was always quite excited about that. I thought it was quite a fascinating little fact in the family. I don't really know that much about it, to be honest. I'm sure I just remember my mum saying in passing that was the case. And I was always hugely fascinated by the phenomena of serial killers, I guess, and what it is about them that makes them so different to us, how they end up doing what they do. And as I started to research and I studied more and more cases as the years went on, I started to notice that there was connections to government with a lot of them. Loads and loads of them either had family members that were connected directly to particularly the White House or Congress in some way. Obviously dealing in American serial killers here, because it seems to be, given I guess that it's such a bigger mass of land, there seems to just be more of them given how many more people there are there. So I started to notice these connections, particularly with people like Ted Bundy and the like. And then there were other ones like my favourite serial killer is BTK, which stood for Bind, Torture, Kill. And he worked in local government. And they quite often do. They kind of fit into this need for a control system, and they like being able to implement control. So it fits them really quite well, given that that's what government and local authority do. So I started putting the pieces together, and more and more and more I started to find these connections, and I started to write about it, and I started to speak about it. And I ended up getting in touch with Thomas Sheridan, who is also fascinated by serial killers, and obviously his expertise comes in psychopathy, dealing with psychopaths or identifying psychopaths. And we kind of got our heads together a couple of times, and he said, I really think you're onto something here. Dave McGowan was doing similar work, the guy who wrote Program to Kill, and he was piecing together the MK Ultra scene and serial killers in that sense, and we kind of put this whole thing together. And then on the sidelines, I was talking about, it kind of snowballed from there really, in the sense that once I started looking at these people within government institutions, I started looking into how corrupt government really was and what was going on there. And I saw, I think probably one of the first things I saw was the documentary or the interview done with Aaron Russo, the director, the film producer, where he talks about his friendship with Nick Rockefeller. And he talks about how Rockefeller talks about an imminent terrorist attack, which turned out to be 9/11. And I think it's one of those things that some people look at these things and they go, oh, what a load of nonsense, or it scares them and they back off from it. And then there's others of us that go, oh my God, and we can't help but then find more and more and more and more, and you start piecing it all together and you realise what's really going on. And I started to become more and more outspoken on social media, particularly Facebook, and people started to listen. And then one day somebody said to me, I tried to make it humorous, because I find that when people are angry and they're shouting and telling people this is what's going on, you're stupid if you don't look at it or whatever, they don't listen. So I thought it might be a good idea to try and add some humour in. And someone said to me one day, you're quite funny, we need somebody outspoken like you. There's not really many women about doing this. Why don't you make a video? And I didn't really think about it too much. I just kind of went, okay. So I did, and it went viral really quite quickly. And I think it was probably because of the language I used, and I was talking about David Cameron. And people just kind of jumped on it really quickly. And I started making more and more and more of them. And it just snowballed from there, really. And, it was really just kind of talking about what was really going on within government, who these people really are, and the fact that they don't really run the country, that they're not really in power as such, and that it's the bankers and the elite families that are really behind it. So my history kind of stems from that, really. And as time's gone on, it's morphed. I think as you begin to work out more and more information, and you start, once you realise what's going on, then the question why comes up, and then the question what do we do about it comes up, and you start branching off into lots of different areas. And I began to realise, as I started to look at the work of people like Dr. Wayne Dyer, like Neville Goddard, Louise Verlaine, Abraham Hicks, starting to realise that actually the way this really works, and the system, the elites are fully aware of how it works, is that we create our own reality. Everything in our culture, I find it a lot in music particularly, it's telling you how this works. It's telling you how your imagination really works, how you are, each of us are the centre of our own universe, and we create our lives through the energy forces within the universe. And I think people quite often think it's like a bit fairy, a bit, a bit nonsensical magic. Really, it's quantum physics, it's science, it's, it's real tangible stuff. And I began to put it into practice, and my focus very much started to shift. And now I kind of bat in between the two. I try not to focus too much on the political stuff because, obviously I've become fully aware that what you focus on becomes more prevalent in your reality. But there are times where I do flip back to it, and I will be hopefully making some new videos with regards to the American election, and really how ludicrous it is, but again, it's not going to be serious. It will be my usual kind of
humor.
unique
humor
delivery, I guess. Because I guess that's something else I'm known for is the way I deliver what I do.
Yeah.
It has caused quite a lot of controversy. I think I'm quite Marmite. You either love me or you hate me. There doesn't really seem to be an in-between with me.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You can't please everybody all the time. It's great when people love it. If they don't, there's plenty of other people putting information out that they can go to if they want to,
Okay. If we move on to we're working with law of attraction, and I want to know how you got into that, and what was the first time you tried it, and how successful was it, or how what happens the first time you tried it?
The first time I tried it wittingly, knowingly trying it, actually was a huge success. I've realised that over the years, I've always done it. I just didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And I got into it because I was actually doing the Faces Project. I'd come down to speak for months down at Faces.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I met Sarah and Max. And I'd been having a particularly hard time. I'd split up from a partner, and it was really quite a difficult split. It was quite an unexpected situation, and it was very, very difficult. And I kind of got to a stage where I just felt trapped in life. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know how to get things going, and I kind of had an idea of what I wanted, but didn't really know what to do. And Sarah had said to me, a couple of weeks later actually, Sarah had started to send me some information. And again, it just kind of snowballed. I started reading more and more, watching more and more, finding out. And I thought, well, this sounds quite good. I'm going to give this a try. So the first thing I decided to do was I wanted to attract a relationship into my life. Because I'd been on my own well, it hadn't actually been that long. It'd been a few months by this point. But once I started practicing, it took quite a few months for me to really get to grips with what I was doing and really understand it. Because at first I kind of thought, right, well, all I have to do is think this and it's all going to happen. It'll be great. It didn't occur to me how much hard work actually goes into changing your thought processes and how you change your negative thought processes into positive. And it sounds simple, but it's kind of almost like MK Ultra in yourself. You have to break yourself down in order to repair however many years you've been here, a conditioning. So that's what I started to do.
So it's like a bit like deprogramming yourself almost, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's very, very hard work. There's times that, even now, quite often I catch myself in a negative thought process. But I catch myself, that's the point. Whereas before I didn't know I was doing it. I'm very careful with the words I write, the language I use now, in the way that I, because we're casting spells constantly, what we say and what we write, so I'm very careful with how I do that now. So I decided that I wanted to create and manifest a relationship, and I used the techniques that Dr. Wayne Dyer suggests and Neville Goddard. So I wrote my list of what I wanted from a relationship, not the person, but how it's really about how you want to feel within that relationship, how you want it to manifest into your reality, basically. You can add things like, I want somebody who's got really nice eyes or a lovely smile or whatever. It will deliver all of those things. But the key here is that it will deliver a reflection of you. Everything that comes into our reality is a reflection. It's a mirror image of us in some way or another. And it's not to the absolute point. It's different things within that person, different feelings you have within you will come out in what you attract into your world, basically. So I wrote out my whole list of what I wanted from somebody. And then I started doing a couple of visualizations, and I'd made like a pin board on Pinterest, so that I added lots of different photos to kind of represent how I wanted it to be.
Right.
And I actually had something completely different in mind when I did this. And I remember going to Las Vegas years ago on my honeymoon. And I thought I'd love to go back there. So I added a couple of pictures of Las Vegas and thought, well, that'd be such a great thing to do with a new partner, go have a great time out there, that kind of stuff. So I just added a couple of pictures of Las Vegas to my Pinterest board, visualised myself playing with my partner, and then I had another visualisation where I was on the beach. And the idea is that you don't just picture it in your mind, you actually, it's to make it feel as real as possible. So the feeling that you feel when the sand is under your feet, and the smell in the air, the smell of the sea, the sound of the waves, all of those things, like the warmth of the sun on your face, all of those things. If you can make it feel real, the universe gets a much clearer picture of what you're after.
Right.
So I started that in maybe October, and mid-January, I got talking to somebody who'd been on my Facebook for probably a year or so. And we were just kind of talking at first, and he said, oh, where in England are you? Where are you from? And I said, I live in London. And he said, I live in Las Vegas. And at that point, it just didn't click to me at all, didn't even really think about it. And as the weeks went on, we started to talk more and more, and he said, oh, I've never been over to London. Maybe I'll make that my next holiday. I'll do a break. And I said, well, if you come over, let me know, and I'll show you around. Not really thinking anything of it.
Mm-hmm.
And as the weeks went on, we talked more and more and more. It developed more and more and more. And we ended up in a situation where we realised actually we really liked each other. So he did make plans to come over here, and we made plans for me to go back with him. So that's what we did. So the universe absolutely delivered. But what it does is it delivers in a way much bigger and much more mind-blowing than you can imagine. Mm. So I didn't just go to Las Vegas. We had a week in London first. We went over to Paris and had an amazing 24 hours in Paris. We went to Moulin Rouge, did all of these crazy things. Then we flew back to America. We went to Disneyland. We went hiking in the mountains in Utah. Mm. And then we went to California. And I stood on the beach. And it was exactly as I'd visualised it in my mind that whole time. Sun was setting, sand on my feet, feeling the water rushing over my feet. And I actually filmed it and posted it on Facebook because I just couldn't believe that it had actually come into my reality as exactly as I pictured it. It was just incredible. Yeah. So people can doubt it all they like. The fact is that I've done it, I've lived it, I've experienced it, and it came to fruition. And I had another visualization which was really completely random, but they explain to you quite often that to feel abundant, to feel prosperity and all of those things, you have to visualize things around you, like nice things around you, and what it would feel like to be abundant. Mm. So I had this visualization where I was walking on carpet, but like a really thick carpet. To me, like a really thick carpet was really expensive and posh and lovely. Yeah. And I didn't even think about it until I walked into the bedroom in his house one day and realised how thick and deep this carpet was. And I'd even managed to bring it into my reality. It was just insane. Mm. So the entire trip included all of the random visualisations that I'd had. And there it was, right in front of me. And the universe delivered it in a way where it took me halfway around the world. Gave me a relationship with somebody, we had an amazing time, and there it all was, So now when I visualise things, I try to pick out the most random, bizarre stuff. So when it does appear, I can't, you can't imagine how it's going to appear, but I know it's going to be in some aspect of what I do, and I am working on something quite big at the moment.
But do you think a lot of it is random though? Because I don't think anything is random. It's like, or is it that you are asking the universe for these things, or does the universe already know what you want, or it's like it's giving you? It's like you're either seeing the future already in a way. You're seeing what you want to happen. So is it already happened in a way?
Exactly, and this is the thing, because we see time as linear, and obviously it isn't. Everything is happening all at once. We're literally just consciousness, but because our physical form, we're slowed down, so it appears to us that everything is happening in a sequence, when really it's all just happening at once. So obviously, with the work I do, obviously now I read tarot, as you balance out your energies and you begin to understand the energies of the universe and how you use them to create your reality, your abilities to read tarot and become what people would class as psychic and what have you, develop naturally. We all have this, and it's not a special talent.
Yeah.
Everyone has it, and anyone who begins to use law of attraction or the raising of their vibration and things, it's something that naturally just comes to you. So now I have the ability to read people. I can read, sometimes I can step into people's heart energy and I can read them that way. I read them using tarot cards and stuff like this. It's just basically connecting completely with, of course, the energies within the universe. I don't call it like a spiritual thing as such. I just believe it is the energy of the universe, and all of us are able to connect through it. It's kind of like a big Wi-Fi system that we can connect through. And the trouble is because people see it as this mystical thing, they don't believe that A, they can do it, or B, that it really exists. When all it is just an energy force. To me, it's as simple as that.
There are like people who think like your thoughts actually create your reality. So if you have a certain mindset or you think a certain way, you know, that will manifest itself in your life to a certain extent.
Well, this is the thing. It's kind of the case, but what it really is it's the feelings that you attach to those thoughts that create your reality. So if you think in a negative pattern, a negative thoughts create negative feelings. It's how it works. You know, if something makes you unhappy, if someone says something horrible to you and you attach unhappiness to that, you are basically saying to the universe, all the universe can deliver you is an exact mirror. So if you say to the universe, my life is horrible, I'm so miserable, everything's really bad, all it can do is show you what you're telling it.
Yeah.
If that makes it is that simple. It's not magic. It is pure and simple reflection. So the idea is that we're all creating our own reality from the minute we're all doing it. The simple fact is that some of us have realised that you can make it work in your favour, and that's what we're really supposed to do. So it's about understanding that if you attach negativity to horrible things that people say to you or events in your life, all the universe can give you is what you're telling it. So if you are sitting there saying, oh my life's so awful, I'm so lonely, everything's so miserable, all it's going to give you is awful, miserable and lonely, because that's all it's feeling from you. So it just gives you back what you're, you know, and the more negative thoughts you attach, the more it expands. It's expansion in either direction. So you've got two choices. You can either expand in a negative way or you can expand in a positive way. But what it will deliver, if you not only think in a positive way, if you have your visualizations, you use your imagination for exactly what it's for, because it's not there for nothing. It's there for this specific reason. If you start using it and then you thank the universal force or whatever energy it is, like you've already received it, it has to give it to you. It's a simple mirror. And there's no kind of, if you're sitting there hoping and wishing it's going to work, you're not really understanding what's going on. It has to work. Because it's like ordering something from Amazon, for instance, and sitting there panicking for 3 days that you're going to get something different than you've ordered.
Yeah.
You don't. As soon as you order it, you know that the thing that turns up at your house 99% of the time is going to be the thing that you've ordered. And that's exactly what the universe does. It just gives you what you've asked for. But it will give it to you in such a spectacular way, even your own imagination couldn't put it all together the way the universe does.
I think a lot of people in life don't know what they actually want. So when they start, if they try and use law of attraction, they have to first decide what it is they want, actually. And like, you know, people think like, oh, I'll just manifest £1 million or something like that. It doesn't work like that, does it? You know.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it can be done. There are people who have hit the jackpot and won the lottery. There's a guy in America that's actually won the jackpot lottery twice using law of attraction. It is very possible. But the amount of work and dedication that goes into feeling that abundant, to be able to trick yourself into feeling like you are a millionaire, takes some seriously hard work. This guy has done it. He's written a book about it. And good on him. I think it's amazing. If you can do it, fantastic. But what people don't understand is that like they kind of think they know what they want until it really comes to it. And then actually most of us really haven't got a clue what we want. So when we start telling the universe stuff, it will throw quite old things at you for a while you're rebalancing. And you have to become it's only through trial and error most of the time that you gain that clarity about what it is you really want. Financially, I mean, money-wise, it's never occurred to me to think, right, I want to win the lottery, that's what I'm going to do. I just have my gratitude practice for what I have, and just tell the universe that I allow more prosperity to come my way, so that I'm always safe and I'm always comfortable. But what people don't understand, like, you know, when you say to someone, well, you're going to have resistance to achieving huge financial success, and they'll say to me, but I want money, I love money, of course I've got no resistance. Well, you have, because what resistance really is it's the belief systems that we grow up with. So if you grew up in a household where money was very scarce, and you were always told, no, we can't have that because we're too poor, there's not enough money, the way you behave as you get older, you will always naturally gravitate towards feeling like there might not be enough, or not spending your money because you want to make sure there's enough, if that makes sense. And that is resistance. You're building up resistance every time you behave in a way that appears to the universe as lack. You're telling it there's lack, so it will continue to give you lack. It's a tricky process with regards to money, because a lot of us have that within us. We're always taught that money is scarce. You know, so
there's a lot of it to do with, like,
we have enough just to pay for the bills or whatever.
Also, with the law of attraction, there's a lot to do with, like, people are always living in the past. They can't get over things in their life that has happened to them. You know, they've lost their job, their career, whatever, and they're always thinking about their mindsets in a way like the whole world's against me, and I'm not going to succeed. This is not going to happen to me. You know, how do they get over that sort of feeling? Because there is a feeling attached to that. It's quite strong.
Absolutely, and that's the point. It's the feelings attached to it, and even when you're well practiced in it, you still have those times where you revert back. I still do it all the time. Like I said earlier, it is kind of almost like MK Ultra in yourself. It's completely retraining your brain. And, you know, whatever age you are, you've had a quite serious amount of brain training. We are taught from a very young age control, we're taught limitation, we're taught competition, we're taught lack, we're taught various different things that, like, we're taught to kind of, particularly in this country, we're taught not to embrace ourselves, be proud of ourselves, to like ourselves. We're very much taught to be humble, but not in the right way in this country. And while I was in America, there were a few times, like, self-deprecation is a big thing over here. And while I was in America, there were a few times people would say to me, why are you saying that about yourself? And I was like, because it's funny. But they were like, they don't talk about themselves in that way. They're nice to themselves, you know, they know how to value their own self-worth. And that's something here that leads to a lot of problems. Most people have very little in the way of self-worth. And when you talk about self-love to them, they think you're either insane or you're a narcissist. And that's not how it is. The universe is only ever going to give you what you are, if that makes sense. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So if you have negative views of yourself, if you have negative views of, if you think the world is out to get you, you're not going to succeed. If you think you're not a success, all the universe can give you is not being a success. It's not about luck. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as coincidence, luck, or random events. Everything is intricately woven into the tapestry of our lives. Everything. And it takes a real understanding. I would suggest that people that start to do this before you manifest anything enormously life-changing. I mean, it's great if you want to manifest a new dress or whatever else, it all works out that way. But when you're talking about love and personal relationships, you know, buying a house or anything like that, you have to really understand your own value in order for it to not turn into a calamity. Because it can turn into a calamity, and when it does, you say, I did it all right, how did this happen? Well, because even bricks and mortar are living. Everything on this planet, everything in this universe is alive, is energy, is moving. And if you set your heart on a particular house, for instance, you have to speak to that house, you have to tell it you love it. It sounds insane, but the energy of this universe is love. Everything on this planet is energy, and it's created out of love. So if you give it love, it will grow. That's how it works. It's really, you know, people talk to their plants and other people say you're mad. It's perfectly safe because those plants are living organisms.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, you do. I work a lot on my own health my physical health, my mental health, my emotional and spiritual health, all of those things. If you give them love, they will expand and they'll be happy and they'll grow and they'll flourish. If you hate yourself, the main cause of disease within us is self-hatred. I think a lot of people have probably seen the experiments with the jars, with one has love and the other has hate, and you can see quite clearly that it works. It's simple, energetic balance, and you can heal your body of absolutely anything. I'm really fascinated by people like Anita Moorjani. Her book called Dying to Be Me. She basically died of stage 4 cancer. Her body had completely given up. She was in a coma for 30 hours. She had a near-death experience, and she talks about how her cancer was basically caused by the amount of manipulation and confusion throughout her life, given different cultures that she grew up around, different belief systems that she was told to have, the hatred she had for herself because she thought she wasn't good enough or she wasn't attractive enough. All of those things create disease within us. When we judge other people, and we have that, sometimes for whatever reason, you take a real dislike to someone, and you can feel it within you, can't you? Get that tense kind of about them. That's causing disease within your body. So it makes absolutely no sense to judge somebody else. And when you do judge somebody else, all you're telling the universe is hatred, don't like it, don't like it. So it's going to reflect back at you. You're going to get that. Which is one of the reasons I stopped doing my videos the way I was doing them. Was because that's exactly what I was getting back. The anger I was putting out was coming back to me tenfold.
Yeah, I get it. What was about emotions, like a lot of people, I'm finding, like, as your vibrations are raising, you're attracting a certain kind of people who are not necessarily got your best intentions, and they see you've got a good energy about you. I don't know what you call them, like emotional vampires, I guess is one way of putting them. And you attract these people, and they pretend to be good, loving, spiritual people. But over time, you find out they're not who they say they are. How do you avoid these people? How do you detect these people in the first place? I've found out, through my own sort of instincts to avoid certain people. I don't know what it is. It's telling me don't go near that person, or that person has got bad intentions for you. But people don't understand that even if you're raising your vibrations, there are people out there who will, don't want you to wake up, don't want you to, learn about certain things. How do you avoid those?
Well, firstly, I don't think you can avoid it.
Right.
I think, like you say, instinctively you know. And this is very much the deal here, is a lot of people see their life as purely physical, which just simply isn't the case. Our physicality is a very small aspect of what we really are. And I found over, particularly the first year of doing this, that yes, indeed, you do attract what are known as energy vampires. Now, I don't know, and I don't know that anybody can say for certain where they're from, whether they're different to us in some way. Who really knows? The way it's been explained to me by a couple of people is that when you begin to raise your vibration, obviously the system and those within it who control and manipulate what goes on in our world are fully aware of all of this. And they understand that if they keep us at a very low level vibration, they can continue to get away with what they're doing, because we'll feel helpless, we'll feel horrible. For whatever reason, these people, creatures, I don't know, God knows what they are, don't want a world full of peaceful, loving, happy people. Because then, for whatever reason their mission is to destroy us, they need to keep us low level. And as your vibration starts to raise, for some reason, these energy vampires come into your life to try and pull you back down. They want to keep you low level. It's almost like a dragnet at different levels, and they want to pull you back down. So you will be flying really high, your energy will be great, you'll be manifesting your health, you'll be manifesting all of these great things into your life, and then all of a sudden somebody will come along and it's like a car crash, and you hit rock bottom and you think, how on earth did I attract this? I don't think you're actually attracting it. I think there's so much we don't know with regards to other entities that are within this universal force. There is light and there is dark in everything. And I do believe that there is some form of, that's a bit Star Warsy, but some kind of dark force. I've experienced it myself with shadow people visits. I've had sleep paralysis. I've had entities actually climbed inside my body. I've had night terrors, you know, but when it is designed to pull you back down. They don't want any of us to reach this level, because if we start reaching this level, if more and more of us start reaching this level, we have a chance to topple what's going on and bring that balance back. And the idea is that when it gets that bad, you have to keep on going.
Yeah.
You know, however tough it gets, that's when you really need to put in the extra work. And it's kind of when you become dangerous to the system. You're much more dangerous to the system when you're teaching people how to create their reality. Because the system can do whatever the hell it likes. If your energy is perfectly balanced, nothing can harm you in any way. It can't. And this is something people don't really appreciate. Physically, mentally, emotionally, all of those things, you cannot be harmed if you understand removal of attachment. I think it's really important to have an understanding of what the system is and why it's doing what it's doing. It's why they use children the way they do. It's like they're destroying any possibility of these children growing up with the ability to live a joyful, high energetic, vibrational level of life.
Yeah.
You know, they suck the energy out of them as much as they do to the rest of us with what they do with the system, just in the most horrific sense. You know.
I think a lot of people in this area, they have gone through a lot of hardship in their life. I don't think you can get to the point where you are now without having some hardship in your life, because it makes you stronger. It makes you emotionally stronger and more able to deal with a lot of these type of things like emotional vampires, things like gang stalking, things like, you know, you're more better emotionally, better equipped to deal with those type of things.
Absolutely, and I think you're very right there. Is that I haven't yet come across anybody who has either discovered or begun to discover the truth about the system, or who has moved into the area that I'm now in, who hasn't had hardship in their life. I don't claim to have had a horrific life. It's been difficult in different areas of my life. There have been immense difficulties. I haven't suffered horrific abuse as a child, or thankfully, any of those things. I have, like most of us, experienced incredibly difficult times. You know, it's well documented that I've had acrophobia for 15 years, even longer now, really, 16 years now. And that's something I've had to work incredibly hard on with this as well, because with something like a panic disorder, the negativity is what drives it, and it spirals to the point where I had a complete nervous breakdown, and it was really kind of being broken completely that allowed me to rebuild myself. And I think we all have this attitude in life that family are, you know, blood is thicker than water, etc., etc. But in reality, what people need to appreciate is that if the people around you are causing your life to be incredibly strained, are causing you to have incredibly negative patterns of behaviour and thoughts and all of those things that will lead you to be unwell, it's absolutely okay to walk away from that and allow yourself to be who you really are. And a lot of people won't do that. A lot of people are stuck in this mindset that they have to conform to either a religion or to a family set of values, or to what they've been taught in school, or, you know, I have to go to university if I want to do this or that or the other. And you know, somebody said to me the other day, they asked me what I do, and I said, well, I practice metaphysics, and, you know, I have a YouTube channel. And they said, oh, how old were you when you got into that? And I said, well, it was like maybe 2 years ago. And they were really shocked when they said, oh, what university did you go to? And I said, well, I didn't. I taught myself.
Yeah.
And he said to me, well, can you actually go and give talks and you teach people, and you haven't got a degree? And I found it hilarious. It mattered. To me, it was kind of like, why on earth would I need to get myself into 20,000 or however much worth of debt to do something that I can teach myself? You know, it just seemed insane.
Yeah,
that it was unnecessary for me to then be able to go out and teach this.
Yeah, a lot of people, they quote people with PhDs and MAs, and they know what they're talking about, especially stuff about the Bible and history and all this, and you just have to take it with a grain of salt, because they have been through the system. They've been taught the history that, you know, which is...
This is the thing, because realistically, if you've been through the system, you've been through the conditioning program, and how can you have a completely non-biased opinion on anything when you've been through a brainwashing program?
Yeah.
It just doesn't, it's not logical, is it?
I think the more awake people who have started deprogramming themselves and doing their own research more, rather than listening to people who say they know everything, they're a professor or a doctor, or they have a PhD in something, and they may know the written history, but if you research things yourself, you find out a lot of the stuff is lies, and what we're taught, especially in school. I mean, I learned a lot of stuff about what I learned in school is all rubbish mostly, and it's all linked together. Maths, chemistry, physics, English, they're not separate subjects in a sense. They're all linked to a certain extent, and we're taught.
And they brush over the surface of it. They don't teach you anything of any value in school. Absolutely nothing of value. I mean, even something as basic as how you function in a capitalist country. Even if they don't want to teach you how to manage your money, because if they teach you how to manage your finances and how to manage your home, they can't get you to get credit cards and hire purchase loans and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
They don't teach you even the basics of how to run your home finances, because then they can't get you into debt and a perpetual cycle of paying back real hard cash for money they've made up.
Yeah.
It's nonsensical. I have a real issue with the school system. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
They have a battle with me on a basis, even down to the things like the biometrics that they're using now. I mean, my son started his secondary school last week, and he came home, on his first day, I said to him, if they ask for your thumbprint, say no, and if they ask why, say because your mum said you're not allowed to give it. So, I mean, my kids are great. I've taught them a huge, vast amount over the last couple of years, much to my ex-husband's disappointment. But,
a friend of mine was talking about this. She refused her children to give their thumbprint. Now they have to use a PIN number or something every time they go to school.
See, they tried it with my son because my daughter's school, she's now gone through the whole school system. She's finished and done. They learnt the hard way with me over a number of years. This school is brand new. It's a different school that he's gone to, so they're not aware of what they're dealing with my son, with his mum anyway. So on the first day, he says, no, I'm not going to give my thumbprint. My mum says I'm not allowed to. And they said, well, you're not allowed to have lunch then. You're not allowed to have a meal. You can imagine my face when he came. I mean, he said, they let me have dinner today, but they said that I'm not allowed it again. And I said, you can tell the school if they have an issue, they're quite happy, they're more than willing to phone me and we'll discuss it. I said, but you will be having your school dinner. So he comes home, that was on the Friday, he comes home on the Monday. I said, did you have a school dinner? He went, yeah. He said, all I have to give them is my name. There you go. Why can't each child just give them their name? Exactly. Because it is sinister. It is absolutely sinister.
Yeah, that whole thing is sinister.
Why thump the children when all the child has to do is give their name?
Yeah,
it's like quite an expensive piece of technology to have within a school. Quite unnecessary when all the kid has to do is give their name.
It's sort of like it's just a step towards putting a chip in everyone, isn't it? Really.
Absolutely.
It's like get rid of the cash. Okay, well we can use your thumbprint. It's just quicker if you just stick a chip in your hand or something.
Yeah,
it's more convenient. So they're doing it in like little steps, so you don't notice.
So cool. They make it seem so cool.
Yeah.
Like being able to pay with stuff on your phone, and yes, especially with somewhere like London, it's so convenient to be able to do that. And I'm guilty of having done it myself, but I try not to. But I've noticed more and more the cash machines are just completely disappearing off the high street. Completely disappearing. They've got money in them, or they're not working, or
Especially in the most deprived areas of London, they're closing down cash machines, so people have to walk further to find a cash machine. And so instead of that, they'll just get a card or a debit card, or whatever. It's more convenient, but then you can get their payments and everything can be tracked more easily rather than cash. People don't want us to use cash. Basically, I think they're leading towards getting rid of cash. So.
Well, of course, because as soon as they get rid of cash, if you are one of those irritating people like you or I who are non-compliant, they can turn us off. If there's no such thing as cash, they can just press a button and say, well, you're not getting any money this week. They can stop at any point. Once it is completely digital, and all it is completely numbers on a screen without the use of cold hard cash in your hand, they can turn you off. It's what they've wanted to do for years. Nick Rockefeller talked about it to Aaron Russo. It was, and they would have a particular chip called a KMA chip for people in the know. And basically, if it was red, it would say "kiss my arse." That was what a KMA was, and it would be reserved for the likes of A-list celebrities, high-flying bankers and the elites. That's what it was for. And all they've done, I think they didn't realise that it would it would take a lot more for most people to allow themselves to be chipped. So all they've done is slow the process down and given it to us in our smartphones.
Yeah.
You know, there's hardly anyone left in the country that doesn't have one. It does everything imaginable. It tracks our every move. It listens to everything we're doing. So effectively, we're basically already carrying those chips around just in our hand.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of
and it won't be long before it becomes part of us. I mean, you've seen the
VR. Have you seen the VR things that they're talking about now? Google glasses, and they're all integrated into your phone and everything. And
absolutely. The iWatch is just another way of getting it onto your body.
Yeah.
So it's becoming less of a separate entity to you. Slowly but surely, they're drip feeding it in.
I think a lot of these, these problems they had with banks and their computers crashing, I think they're all little tests to see if they can get away with, you can't access your money this weekend. Sorry, our bank's down. Will people put up with it? And people have put up with it. People have, put up with most of it. So I think they're almost like building up, our bank systems have crashed for a few days. Sorry, you can't access your cash. And you might be a little bit angry, but you'll put up with it.
Yeah, and they do it so that we become even lazier. So we can't be bothered with the hassle. We need the convenience because our lives are so consumed by the rat race and by work and by paying mortgage to live in a house that we're never even in because we're always in an office or wherever else, 12 hours a day or whatever, how ridiculous it is. People do not want anything else in their lives that is going to overcomplicate the situation. They want ease. We've become so lazy. It's untrue. And particularly in places like London, if something isn't open 24 hours a day now, you're like, what do you mean you're not open 24 hours a day? Even Sunday is becoming a drag because the shops close at 4 or 5. You think, how rude. We've become so lazy, and this consumer existence that we have is removing us more and more and more from what we really are. And happiness now is attached to how big your house is, what car you drive, what kind of trainers you're wearing, or how many Pokemon you've caught. It's just insane. It's insanity on a mass scale because we believe that we're these physical entities. They've given us all of this stuff, and in fairness, some of it is really cool. Some of it is really cool, but it's sinister.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
And you can take it right back to, I'm completely non-religious, it's just an example. You can take it back to the Garden of Eden and the shiny apples and the things you're not supposed to. They look great, and they're fun, but they could kill you. It's not good. But then you meet most people. If I was to tell people, if I kind of sat down at a coffee shop and started to tell someone that I hug trees because trees absorb any negative energy, they'd think I was absolutely barking. But I do hug trees. I do.
A friend of mine said you have to talk to your water before you drink it. You have to say loving words and that type of thing. I just found it a bit of a weird concept. I sat there talking to my glass of water before I drink it. And, if someone there sat with you, they're looking at you a bit, a bit funny.
Because people do look at you like you're insane, but when you understand the science behind it, it makes absolute perfect sense. I talk to the organs in my body because, like I said earlier, anything you shower with love will energetically create more and more healthy cells within it. So it's the same with water. Our bodies are made up, majority of it. It makes perfect sense. And that's one of the reasons they contaminate our water system. It's why they fill it with chlorine. It's why they fill it, the trouble people have with infertility is because it's so
I guess the water is
riddled with medications. It's insane.
And people wonder why they're
sorry, I've got a little bit of a problem here. I just need to go and grab my phone charger because my battery is about to die. I think. Bear with me just a second.
Yeah, sure. So you were talking about water and how it's affecting people.
I mean, the water that we consume, tap water, even bottled water, is so it's pretty much just as bad. The percentage of bitterness is so minimal that you may as well just drink tap water. It's so bad for you. I distill my own water. My children will not touch tap water. Bottled water if they absolutely have to. But my son fills up his own water bottle every day to school and he drinks distilled water only. He won't touch it. And when he goes and stays at his dad's, he will not touch the tap water in the house. And I've been doing that for probably over a year and a half maybe now. I had some really crappy kind of health issues going on before that. I was getting extreme vertigo, really severe headaches, just felt a general kind of unwellness a lot of the time. And it was because of the crap I was drinking, basically. When I distill my water, the silt and the filth that is in the bottom of that distillery is just absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
They fill it with all of this stuff for various reasons. You know, lots of women in the country take a contraceptive pill. It ends up in our water system. They say they clean it, but they fill it with chlorine, they fill it with fluoride. It's filled with lots of heavy metals. You name it, it's in there.
Yeah.
And
I think somebody said the water that you drink has been through however many hundreds of people before you get to drink it. So it's like passed through. So how can you...
it's passed through loads of people before it's gone through you.
Yeah.
I've chosen to not pay a water bill, and I haven't paid a water bill for probably quite a few years.
Yeah, I don't pay.
People will say to me, "Oh, that they're cleaning it, and you're still drinking it because you're still putting it in your distiller." I had to go out and buy a distiller. I have to make the effort to clean my own water because it's illegal for me to catch rainwater and distill that. So I am not paying for my own poisoning. It doesn't. People don't understand. They don't seem to realise that what they're paying for is something that is killing them.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
Why would I pay to be poisoned? You know, so I choose not to pay a water bill. I choose not to pay a TV licence. Morally, I don't believe that I should pay for these things.
It's almost like you should be entitled to certain things, you know, like water and, you know, I know a lot of the stuff, I don't want to go into politics or anything, but stuff in like the Middle East, about Libya, before the war, everyone there was living a pretty good life. You know, they got a house, they got an income, they had good education. People don't look into this and know about this. They think even people like Saddam Hussein was an evil, or Gaddafi was evil, but he looked after his people. And you think
absolutely. Everybody in Libya that married was given £50,000 to buy a home. Everyone that married in Libya was given that. They had free utilities. They didn't pay for electric and gas or water. It was all given to them by the state. And, you know, Gaddafi was painted as this monster, when in reality, you know, who knows how much of I think they're all corrupt, absolutely. But the fact is that it's absolute fact that the people were given free utilities and each married couple was given £50,000 to start a new home. It is fact. And we're not told this. People don't go out and find out their own stuff. They believe it. They believe most people's education with regards to world affairs stems from what they're told on the news. And some man in a suit tells them it's that way, so that's what they believe. They don't look any further into it than that. Because A, they don't have time, B, they don't really care, and C, they think they're educated because they read The Guardian or they watch BBC News. You know, that's most people's level of education with regards to how cultured they are. You know, it's nonsensical.
I think a lot of it is hidden because people actually realise that the stuff was real, it's true. You'd be like marching down the street and asking for, you know, or why don't we have what they had? And I think the government have a lot of questions to answer, which they don't really have answers for.
But then saying that, would people really do that? Because I come across people quite frequently and saying, well, I pay my taxes, like they're really proud. And I just kind of look at them and I think, you're proud that you have most of your wage packet ripped from your backside before it's even in your hand. You're paying for wars. You're paying for the NHS to be ripped to pieces. You're paying for these puppets to have their moats drained and cleaned. You're paying for the scum of the earth to rip you off, but you're proud. Belief.
It's beyond belief, yeah. People think that when they pay their taxes they get certain things like, you know, their pension and this and that, but most of that money goes to pay the debts that we borrowed from, you know, from the Bank of England, from the Rothschilds and whoever else.
Again, it's just those numbers. It's nonsensical. The debt doesn't really exist. These are made up numbers on computer screens that are moved from here, there, and everywhere. And the elite families are the ones who are taking the cold hard cash.
Yeah.
Every area of life that determines you giving the system money or the banking system money is basically you having been ripped off through a digital transaction, and you're giving your actual cash back to the Rothschild family. That's why these families own 3/4 of the world's wealth. Because no one's got any cash because they've got it all.
Yeah,
you know?
That's a whole other area we go into, the banking system and fractional banking. It will take forever, really. So, but we can. I mean, we've covered a lot of topics there. But if you want to talk, I know you started doing tarots. I want to know what got you interested in tarot work, and if you want to talk a bit about that, really.
Again, like I said earlier, as you begin to understand the universal energies and the forces that kind of the vibrational, you start to develop your intuition. Is kind of your psychic abilities. It's innately there within all of us. As time goes on, and you start really focusing much more on working from your heart and your intuition, it develops. And I'd had a reading with Mark Bayersky, and I was fascinated by it. And one day, I just went out and bought some tarot cards. Just one day, I was at a bookshop and I saw them. And I thought, I'm just going to buy some. And I took them home. And as I got them out of the box, I could just read. It was like, I always explain to people when I start their reading that it's not me. I'm not seeing what's going to happen. The message is being given to me, and I'm literally just translating it into words. And the cards help you develop the situation further. Right. So you're given the intuitive knowing of what the situation is, and as the cards unfold, it gives you a more accurate idea of what, like, the ins and outs of the story.
So can anybody do tarot reading, or do you have to have certain?
You can. Well, see, this is the thing. You can learn, and you do learn as you're going on. Even though I could just read, you do learn as you go on, because a lot of the cards have so many different meanings, and they can mean different things given what cards are around them. You can read the cards just on their own. Anybody can learn to do that, but it kind of defeats the object of it. It's more an intuitive process. My daughter is picked up the cards and is able to read them as well. We both just have this ability to do it. And I just really love doing it, because when you get to tell people good things that are coming their way, it gives them so much hope when they're feeling a bit defeated, and it allows them to turn their own energy around, you know, and to really kind of focus on the positive energy that they've got coming their way. It's good. I really enjoy doing them, but it is quite exhausting, because you're taking on other people's energy, you're reading their energy, it drains you of your own, so you have to be very balanced in your own energy. You have to make sure that you're doing your meditation properly, you're keeping your energy high, you're resting when you need to, because it is a very exhausting process to undertake. Okay,
so what information can you get from like a tarot reading? Like, if you do a tarot reading, what can you tell someone about? Is it like telling them about their future, or can you ask questions, or how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, initially, I'll lay out some cards, and initially, I get an idea of what's happening, so I can see if the person I'm reading for has a conflict situation going on in their life, and I can read whether it's a partner in a relationship or whether it's a work situation. Things like that depend on what cards come out with them.
Right.
And as I go along, I will ask questions, but not in-depth questions. I always say to people, don't tell me anything when I start to read for you, and when I do, don't tell me the story, just give me a yes or no or something like this, so that I can develop the story as it goes along. Right. And then once I've established what the situation is and what's been going on in the past, I can then start reading what's coming up for them in the future.
Right.
So I'm able to tell them if they're going to travel, I'm able to tell them if somebody's coming into their life, I'm able to tell them about pregnancies, new members of the family, I'm able to connect to deceased loved ones, I'm able to tell them about new jobs, new houses, all of those sorts of things. You can pretty much read anything, given what cards come out in what format.
Okay, so if like someone came to you and said, I'm looking for, I think this person is good in my life, or something, I've met someone, can you tell me what's going to happen with this particular relationship? Can you do that, or is it not that specific?
Yeah, I mean, it can be specific. It absolutely can be specific. You know, you can predict marriages, you can predict events that are going to come up. celebrations, those sorts of things. It's very easy for the story to unfold, and quite often I can explain to people, if you take this particular action, this situation is going to work out in your favour financially or whatever else. You can absolutely do that. Most readers find that they can't read for themselves though, because when you work on intuition, for some reason you can't do it with yourself. It's easy to connect to some energy because it's not personal to you, if that makes sense.
Right.
You know, but yeah, you can much tell me. I mean, you can't. You know, I wouldn't be able to say on this date this will happen to you. I can say to people in the next couple of months you're looking at such and such. You know. So it's kind of general, but they are detailed. Yeah, they're quite detailed.
How long have you been doing that then, the tarot reading?
I started reading probably around January time. It's not been very long at all. But I just seem to have a real ability for it. And it gets stronger the more you practice, the stronger it gets. So I really enjoy doing them. And I've got a backlog of probably about 150 people at the moment that want readings.
Yeah, I think I saw on your Facebook yesterday, you said you're going to do some free readings for people and some messages.
My readings, I don't charge for my readings at all.
Yeah.
People say, no, you're silly, you should. And there will come a point where I will eventually. But at the moment, the way I see it is, it's a gifting process as far as I'm concerned. The more you gift, the more balance there is for you with regards to the universe. You balance out that energy. Excuse me. You balance out that energy, and what you put out, you get back tenfold. So the nicer you are to people, the more good energy you give to others, and the more selfless acts you commit. It's a cycle. It's like Deepak Chopra says, there is a cycle of life, and you will always be looked after if you keep your energy high, if you're grateful, and if you selflessly give to others. So that's why I do them for free.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who do tarot readings, I'm not sure about people who charge for things like readings and psychics who charge a lot of money for something which maybe like an hour session they charge hundreds of pounds and things like that. You have to wonder why.
Ludicrous sums of money, which I find disgraceful. I mean, most people will charge maybe £20 for half an hour to 45 minutes, which to me is perfectly reasonable. If it's something you do full time, you so much energy doing it, and if you do it as your full-time job, then that's absolutely fine. But to charge hundreds of pounds, I find utterly ludicrous.
Yeah, there are certain people in the.
Pay for it.
What plans do you have as far as, are you doing like things like conferences again?
I've had a couple of people put the feelers out with regards to doing more speaking engagements, which I'm quite happy to do. I enjoy doing them. I did step back for quite a long time and didn't really do anything, but I'm quite happy now to get back out there. I'm quite comfortable with where I am. So if the offers come in, yes, I will do them. I'm working on a book as well that I kind of a few times have ummed and ahed about what to continue with, but now I'm absolutely certain that's what I'm going to do. But it's looking quite likely that I will be putting some more videos out quite soon, possibly over the next couple of months. I kind of feel like getting my hands a little bit dirty with the American election, and a friend of mine over in America has been putting out some really good YouTube videos. So we're talking about working together to try and put something out. Because I'm very fortunate in the sense that I have quite a big audience on YouTube and Facebook and what have you. And his work has been really good, but because unless you have that audience already, it can be very difficult to get your message across. So I said, look, use mine, it's there, use it. So if we can work out the logistics of how, then we will put some work out together.
Okay. Do you want to say what your book is about? Is it like biography or is it about
work? No, it's not biography because, to be quite honest, I don't really know that anyone's going to want to read about my life story. I'm not sure it's that interesting. It's more about, I guess it's more about what I've learned. It's more about what I'm learning. More about how to create peace within yourself, really. How to create your own reality. And generally, how to be a peaceful, decent human being. Which seems quite ridiculous, but it amazes me how many people feel lost and how many people do need inspiration. But it will be delivered in my unique style.
Yeah.
It's not going to be all fairy.
Mm-hmm.
That you can be sure.
Okay, that's good. Is there anything you want to talk about? Like anything good to come in? Anything that's coming up that you're doing or involved in?
Not really. I mean, project-wise, I've taken on as much as I can at the moment. So I've got nothing else that's kind of hugely planned. Hopefully these videos will work out. But the book is really the main thing that I want to focus on for now.
Okay.
And get that going.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there for now. Thanks for letting me interview you for my channel.